let's move to the cutting table. Yeah, so with me here, it's 6 pieces, 6 yards of fabric. Looking at her size and the style of peplum and all. So if you really want to cut 6 pieces skirts for a client, depending on how big the client is and you want it full, you will need 3 yards. 3 yards will be okay just for the skirt. Just for the skirt. Remember I said depending on her size and then how full it's going to be. So here we have the measurements that will be needed for this customer or which will be infused, and then this measurement is what we need for any kind of 6 pieces: the waist, the hip, the knee circumference, the waist to the hip, the waist to the knee, and then the skirt length. So these are the important measurements you would need while cutting a 6 pieces, 8 pieces, or even a 12 pieces skirt. So the next is to be infusing the measurements. Her waist is 42, you divide by 6. Her hip is 52, you divide it by 6. And then her knee circumference is 42, you divide by 6. Then we'll have the measurements. That is 7, 8.6, and then 7. You would need to do these calculations so that you know what you want to work with. So this is me actually infusing these calculations, trying to make sure there wouldn't be any mistake at all before I go ahead. So once the calculation is done, the next is for you to fold your fabric. Remember I said 3 yards of fabric is actually okay if you want your 6 pieces to be full. If you want your 6 pieces to be full. So for me, I want it full. As you can see, it was actually full on her. So I'll be folding 22 inches. I'll be folding 22 inches. That is when it's on fold, it's going to be 11 inches. This is actually 10.5, but I needed to make sure I would get my 11 inches. As you can see, I'm trying to make sure I would get it accurately. 11 inches on fold, 22 inches when it is whole. Yes, some persons use 18, some persons use 20, some persons use 22, some persons go ahead and use 25. Mind you, the fullness that determines what you use. But if you want it so full, please do not go lesser than 18 inches. Do not go lesser than 18 inches. So with that in mind, let's start securing our measurements. So because it is having a band, I'm going to be going 1 inch ahead. Normally I would have cut that selvage off, but this Ankara is by 45 and her skirt length is 46. So I wouldn't be cutting it. So with the band, if you are cutting with a band, you take 1 inch above, as you can see, and then the skirt, the waist to the hip, as written in the measurements, is needed. So 1 inch above the main measurement is how you get your measurement. That 1 inch is for the band that will be infused. Then I chopped to my hip region, and then I chopped to my knee region. So once you do that, that is if you're putting a band. If you're not putting a band, you do not need to do that, because you will definitely be using bias or whatever to make it nice. So the 7 divided plus 2, the 7 we got then plus 2 divided by 2 is what is gotten here. 7 divided by 2 plus 2. We got 7 inches back then for the waist. You add 2 to it, rather. 7 plus 2, 9 divided by 2. The same process is for the hip. The calculation you got divided by 6, which gave us 8.6. Now plus my sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. 2 inches plus my sewing allowance was what I ticked here. So because this cloth is on fold, you divide again by 2. So when you spread out, you get your complete measurement. Same applies to this. 7 inches for the knee circumference plus 2 inches sewing allowance divided by 2. Please take note of this. Sewing allowance 2 inches, then divided by 2, because it is on fold. When it is spread out, it will be whole. Once that is done, your next thing is to secure from your waist measurement to the hip measurement to the knee circumference, to the knee length rather. Yeah, can you see? Then the excess is at the base. You get a straight line. You connect from your knee circumference to the tip of your skirt. Your knee circumference to the tip of your skirt. Can you see? So this is how you do it, either for 6 pieces, either for 12 pieces, either for 8 pieces, anything pieces, even for 4 pieces. Can you see the way I'm connecting it back? So that down is actually going to be full. It is the down that will have 22 inches. Then the knee will have the circumference that was calculated. The hip will have the circumference that was calculated. And then the waist. You repeat the same process for all the measurements. So for reference sake, I'll be repeating it again. Your hip measurement divided by 6. Your waist measurement divided by 6. Your knee circumference measurement divided by 6. Once you've gotten it divided by 6, the next thing to do is for you to add your sewing allowance, because of course you need your sewing allowance. Adding 2 inches of sewing allowance is actually very perfect. 1 inch to the left, 1 inch to the right while sewing. Do you get? Now, when you get your result from this measurement, 42 is the measurement. 42 is the hip divided by 6 plus 2. Then because it's on fold, you divide by 2 to get it. That is what you need. Please, if you have any questions, you can feel free to add it in the comment section. I'm just going to go ahead to cut the second piece. I do not know if you took note of the placement. The placement was up, now it is down. This is because you manage fabric more this way. Once one is up, the next goes down. Once one is up, the next goes down. And you repeat the process on and on and on. You're always trying to be careful. If your fabric is not staying in place, do well to pin your fabric together. So once you are sure you've gotten an accurate measurement, you are sure you've placed it well, go ahead to cut. So this is actually the second piece, and I will repeat the process like I said earlier for the third, for the fourth, for the fifth, except the sixth. And the reason for except the sixth is because it has a zipper allowance. So when you are sewing 6 pieces, you will definitely need to put a zip at the back, except you want to put a zip at the side. So for the zip at the back, you will need to add your zipper allowance. But sometimes you don't have to add just 1 inch zipper allowance, so that it can also be a little bit full. So here's what I do. I could leave 3 inches instead of the 1 inch. That is 1 inch on one side, 1 inch on the other side, which would give 2 inches. I sometimes do this way. And if you want it fuller, you can give a tail at the back of that zipper allowance. So I'm just going to connect this to the 1 inch. For the waist and the hip is actually going to have 1 inch, but the base is not going to have 1 inch. It's just to do the connections, and that is all. You can pay attention to this. I'm marking the knee side. I'm marking the knee side. Can you see? So I actually did 1.5. Then a little bit. I slanting it just a little bit. Just a little bit. So you can go ahead to make yours fuller. Can actually go ahead to make yours fuller, but this is just how to do it. So everything is the same except the part for the zipper allowance, because instead of you to just have it, you do well to add your zipper allowance. So after putting the zip, they will all be equal. So this is just how to work with your 6 pieces. This is the cutting part. I wasn't able to make a video of the sewing parts, but if you repeat the same process for the sewing, you will actually get the same results. You turning your lining, or however you want to put it. You keep measuring to make sure you get each piece out. Make sure you get each piece that was calculated while cutting. You make sure you get it while sewing. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please do well to subscribe and do well to like my video. See you in the next class. Thank you so much.